I got to spend 3 hours in the car with my mother-in-law today, just me and her. That was fun.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Went better than I feared.
Oh, because of the parade thing?
Yeah, we were back in my hometown, and she was up at St. Mary's in next to Notre Dame in South Bend. And her and my wife were fighting on Saturday over the phone, so I just got elected to drive her home.
All right. I'm about to send the link out.
I did. Oddly enough, my mother-in-law used to be a nun at St. Mary's.
Really?
Yep.
All right. The link is out.
Huzzah. We just got to watch. We missed Big Brother last night. We got to watch tonight's. Did you watch last night's? I meant.
No.
Sorry. You haven't
No,
watched that one yet.
I had to watch Ma.
Ah.
So I figured we just push it off a few days.
It was just the nom ceremony.
I'm trying to remember. Our Patreon levels. I suppose I should know this. Shoot. I'm going to start, I think, just posting the link in Slack when we're live because they, it's the same level. Like you get Slack access at the same
Yeah.
level that you get the live stream. So I might as well just help people out, post it.
Oh yeah. There may be people that are still looking for the email though. Just a thought. I don't know. They
Well,
may not be
I'll
on
send it
Slack.
out. I'll send it out anyway. I'm just saying as an addition.
Yes, that's what I was saying too.
Playing anything good lately?
Finally, the moment happened. They finally dropped Binding of Isaac on Switch to 50% this weekend, so I snagged that up. So I've been playing that all weekend
Nice.
because I finally beat Dead Cells. I was quite happy.
I gave up the first time I fought the first boss.
Yeah, that one for whatever reason grabbed me pretty hard.
I think I might have done 1 or 2 runs after that first boss, and then I was like, I think I'm good. It was just way too hard, and I don't know. I enjoyed aspects of it, but
yeah,
too hard.
I
for
just
me.
got way into it, so they kept at it. I mean, it took me a long time to get through that first level. But you go back each time. There's like 5 difficulty levels that you go up after you beat it.
I mean, when it feels good, it feels amazing.
Oh yeah,
Like the controls are unparalleled. They're really neat.
yeah, and the build options and stuff and the way they carry over are pretty good. But Binding of Isaac, I played an obscene amount on the PC, so I was pretty excited to have that at my disposal on the Switch because that's all I've been playing games on lately.
Yeah, same. I'm basically still just alternating between Fortnite and Minecraft.
Nice.
I play Fortnite till I get angry, and then I go play Minecraft to mellow me out.
Although I think the wife and I are going to start playing WoW Classic here soon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I,
she's pretty fired up.
a lot of my favorite Fortnite streamers are playing WoW Classic currently, and they're like haven't played anything else since it got released.
Yeah. We haven't had a good video game together for quite a while.
Did they
So
upgrade the graphics at all, or is it literally just that game?
I think they upgraded the graphics some, but I couldn't tell you for sure. I haven't really been following it.
Because
She has.
I know the whole idea is that like they're not making any like quality of life changes. That like they're keeping all the same mechanics and all that shit, all old school.
Yeah, because in the new version we played that a little bit last year, and the new version was pretty much everything was like on easy mode. The dungeons that when we used to play back when WoW first launched, that would take you like 4 or 5 hours to get there. You could get through in like 15 minutes with a random group. There was no challenge left whatsoever. So it'd be cool to see that.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know. I didn't really play RPGs when I was a kid, so I don't know that I would have understood it. But I remember at the time. When did that come out? 2005.
I don't remember.
I was like just kind of out of college, and I think I was looking for a job at the time, and I remember picking up a demo disc from Target or Walmart maybe,
Yeah.
and I was like, I keep hearing about this, seems cool, and then I never played it. So I'm not sure it would have, I'm not sure it would have clicked with me, but it's probably for the best anyway. Because at the time I needed to focus on like getting a job.
Yeah, it could be bad. We started back when we started playing EverQuest. That's when I started at Conseco like 20 years ago, and some friends there got me started on EverQuest, and then I got Colleen hooked on it. And at the time, she was pregnant with Delaney, so and she was home, wasn't working at the time, and it was a good outlet for her to be able to talk to other people and whatnot. And she's been hooked ever since.
Does she still play EverQuest?
No, but
Oh,
we played WoW and stuff like that. She doesn't like to play unless I'm playing usually with her, so it's a good way for us to hang out and spend time together. We'll get on. We got our own little Discord server that we get on it, so we can talk to each other. Because my computer's in my office and hers is in our bedroom. So
oh, funny. Did you do any spooky season stuff yet?
no, not yet. Although the Met parade this morning, there was a what was it? It was a zombie outbreak response team parade entry. It was just a dude in a 4x4 with like a fake machine gun mounted on the front and some stickers, and a guy in a zombie costume walking in front of him. I tried to get a picture to set text you guys, but
Just
it
a
was
just a single zombie.
yeah, it was fun.
That's pretty
I don't
awesome.
know what they were from. I don't know if it's a club. There's a big haunted house up in Niles, Michigan, which is only like an hour from my hometown. I don't know if they were from there because those guys have been in the parade in the past. We're just like, huh, that's a little random.
It never really occurred to me that like they were. I guess I mean I've never been to a Labor Day parade. Usually, if I'm at a
Yeah.
parade, it's like 4th of July.
Well, my hometown, because we go up every year, my hometown has Marshall County Blueberry Festival, which is where they pack the park full of craft booths and there's concerts and all sorts of stuff. And it's a big thing. And it's like 50, 60 years old now that 50, 60 years they've been doing this. So my whole life it's been going on. So we always go up there every year, and they always finish on the Monday with a parade. So, and it's not great at all.
We went to 4th of July this year, and it was like 100 degrees that day. It was brutal.
Yeah. Well, the only reason we go to the parade because I used to be in the marching band and it's in our hometown, so I go to see them. And then my mom's retired. She volunteers at the Marshall County Museum uptown, and they always con her into being on the floats. So we always go to see her float. Bail before they have like 30 fire trucks come through because they put like 30 fire trucks from all the neighboring towns in the parade. If you ever wanted to be an arsonist, it is the perfect time.
You shouldn't say that on camera.
I probably shouldn't, but
No.
it's the truth.
Probably not. So I'm literally, you can't really see it, but I mean, obviously, but when I'm looking this way, I'm looking at my living room television. Like
Nice.
I don't know how big this is, 42, I think. So your face is in 42 square inches across TV.
Oh, you got the Skype video going on the TV?
Yeah, and then I've got everything else over to my left here.
That's awesome.
It's interesting. We'll see how it goes. And everything's working, so that's awesome. It's exciting.
How do I look in 1080p?
Sweaty.
Yeah. Makes sense.
You look like your hair's mussed.
It is.
Yeah.
We had to get up at like 7 o'clock to get that parade.
I can literally, though, I can see like individual things on your shelves. Like you've got some, you have some Rust-Oleum behind you.
Yep. Satin clear enamel.
Something next to it there, another can.
Yep.
I never noticed your Hostel poster.
That's funny. How about a stranger's mask?
Your mic is in front of that.
No, it's over here.
Yeah, I can't see it. I just see Mike. There we go.
I guess it is around the corner.
Yeah.
And you can't see right over here is the BGH banner, the old one.
I see your green flannel behind you there.
Yeah.
The other side.
Yep. It's my work laundry I haven't put away yet.
Are those? Do you have Sennheisers?
Yes, I do.
What one?
558.
Nice. I just got these. They're $6.99. The Sennheiser $6.99 or whatever. I love Sennheiser, so I don't think I'll ever buy other headphones.
Oh yeah, I love these too. I got these like 2 years ago, and they were on sale on clearance on Amazon for like $80. So I snatched them up.
It's the first time I've ever had like full-sized over-ear headphones, and it's amazing the like spatial stuff you get.
Yeah. It's really great for listening to tunes. I use them for everything in here. I just don't take them to work because I use my earbuds for work. But you take yours to work, don't you?
Wait, what is going on right now? What the hell just happened? Shit. Oh, sorry. I do. Why am I even seeing that? There we go. Oh, I know, because it was a totally different scene I was looking at. I gotcha. There we go. Okay. All right. Before John gets here, I'm going to run to the bathroom quick. I'll be right back. You can entertain the watchers.
Alrighty.
Oh, my God. You did not get a crawl poster. Oh, my
I did.
God. Jesus.
Hello, Internet. Is there anybody watching? Is it just me and you? Hello. I'm drinking because I'm on vacation and don't care. Sounds like Aussie Andy's out there. This one's going to go back there on that wall behind it so you can see it every episode. I got Godzilla, King of Monsters. I'm pretty stoked. My daughter's boyfriend, he quit like 2 weeks ago, but he was shift leader at the local Regal Theater, so he hooked us up with some posters. I got an Annabelle Comes Home, which I don't care about, but I got it, and it was free. And then we got a Rocket Man, a Shazam, two Rocket Man. Yeah, this is Shazam, which I haven't even watched yet, so it was nice having a poster connection for a bit. John's here. Let's see if we can figure out how to add him to the chat. Did I fuck it up? Hi, John.
Hey.
Eric's pooping.
Nah, he's back. He done pooped, apparently.
What's up?
You look really different. It's like a different angle.
Yeah, well, I'm in my living room.
I know. You look thinner. Have you lost weight?
I do look thinner. I've actually gained weight. So, but it's funny because as soon as I turn the camera, I'm like, wow, I look skinny. That's weird. I don't know if this will be.
That's actually really weird.
I don't know if this will be the final camera angle, but we're testing it out. I want my wife to have some freedom of movement without having to worry about being on camera. So,
I was hoping like just kind of like right under your chin, like kind of like right so you can
well,
kinda
what I'd
see.
really like to do
Yeah.
is a up high angle so everybody can see like my mixer, like see me pushing the buttons, doing the ditty.
Nice. Yeah.
But
Okay.
we're gonna have to figure it out. I was just hoping that everything worked properly tonight, which it is so far. So, knock
Cool.
on wood.
I'll probably just not do that. But I am having a little bit of whiskey.
Yay!
So I'm looking at you guys. I was telling Casey on my 42-inch television,
Really?
so I can see stuff in the background now. I was pointing out
Wow.
things on Casey's shelves.
Yeah, which led to me sitting with Aussie Andy, who's watching his live stream, and I showed him all my posters. John.
Oh. You know, I saw that, and I wondered if you were talking to somebody or just talking to the ether.
No, I was talking to Aussie Andy.
Oh, nice. Where'd you get that?
Delaney's boyfriend, up until like 2 weeks ago, was a manager at the local Regal that we go to. So he was hooking me up for a while. I got
Wait,
Godzilla King of Monsters too.
Is he not the boyfriend anymore, or does he just not work there?
He's just not the manager at Regal anymore. He's still the boyfriend.
Okay.
Now he's trained to be manager at Arby's.
All right. Well, is that better? I don't know. I feel like the Regal's got better. There's a lot more.
The posters were
Perks.
cool, but I get like roast beef sandwiches now. So
Well, I didn't mean
Look.
better. I didn't mean better for you.
No. Nah, the Regal apparently isn't great to work for. So
I do like roast beef sandwiches.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't been to an Arby's in friggin' forever. So
No, me neither.
I eat far too much of it. So
yeah. All right.
I was never. There weren't a lot of Arby's around me when I was a kid. I was never a big Arby's fan in general. That wasn't in any way my go-to. I've probably been to an Arby's literally twice.
We had one, but it was you know
We
didn't
had,
have a ton of
we
it.
had like a shitty one in a mall food court.
yeah, I didn't have one really growing up either. I was never a big fan. Then Delaney started working there, and freebies showed up, and I don't mind it.
You know what we have
Free
here.
roast,
You know what
free
we have.
roast beef is free roast beef.
You know what we have here in the highway? Like John, I don't know, John, if you've ever ventured upstate or not, but on the thruway we have these things that are just god awful called a Roy Rogers,
Oh yeah.
and it's all like
For sure.
pre-made. You know, like crap. They just sling it down the conveyor belt to you, and you just like pick up what you want. And then, oh my god,
You don't
Yeah.
want to see in that kitchen.
no! I'm reasonably sure I got food poisoning from one once.
Yeah.
Probably.
So no Joe tonight, right?
No, correct. Just CC.
Did we get any fill-in?
We didn't even discuss it. I don't think.
Okay.
Nah.
I do
Who-
recall
who can
saying,
replace
please
him?
get me a fill-in. I always need a fill-in because I can't handle what it looks like with only 4 people on video. I don't care if
Should
we
we just like see if anybody's on Slack.
I don't care if
or-
we hook up another camera and all that's there is a blank room. I do not want 4 people on the show.
Well, that's fair. Here we are. It's
Yeah.
Labor Day. People, are,
is.
we can't make people work, Eric. That's what Labor Day's about. Slavery. No, I'm just kidding. It has nothing to do with it.
That escalated quickly.
Uh-huh. Nope, it's about talking about a movie where an old lady picks up a guy's shriveled wang.
I didn't think it was any more shriveled than like a normal wang.
No, it was just, we'll talk about it. Cece has thoughts on
Yeah.
It
it.
was just like an adult man's flaccid penis.
Yeah, no slight on Luke
Oh my
and
God,
Richards or whatever
please-
his name was.
Please tell me that's the word of the day today.
Flaccid? No, I would. Come on. What's Luke Evans?
Yes.
Yeah, that's his name.
I knew it was Luke something.
Eric and I were texting a little. We should just talk. Well, forget it. We're saving this for the show.
Yeah. We're just waiting at
Okay.
Cece, right? Is she on?
She looked like she. Or did you try calling her? She looked like she was on
Oh yeah, she's on.
the chat.
Cece.
Oh, there she is.
Not Luke Evans Wang.
She missed all the flaccid penis talk already.
Oh, there's plenty more to.
I mean,
Go
I have
around.
to say, like, that was the nicest looking wang I've ever seen, just like chilling there. What the fuck?
Okay, well let's save it for the show. Cece, are you drunk?
No, there's something in my eye.
She's just
I'm
thinking
also
about
drunk, but
work.
there's something in my eye.
What?
Oh,
All right, let me just double check you guys can hear this. John, can you talk about meetup stuff?
Talk about wangs.
Yeah.
I'm only here for the wang talk.
This is gonna get real punchy, isn't it? Yeah. Let's keep it short. We should have let's talk. You want to talk? We gotta have other things to talk about because we get 2 weeks. I'll basically talk about how it's 2 weeks away, and we're all very excited.
Well, so hold on, keep it short and then talk about what else. What else you got?
We can talk about the Sketch. We got chapter 2, It,
Okay.
coming
Write
up.
this down.
Do a little predict. Something
Can
like
you
that.
just
I
use
don't know.
entire words, please?
Maybe.
I'm gonna write down predict on my show notes here.
So yeah, I think
Predict is what that guy.
predict. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I mean, I just say.
Get him out of here.
All right, that's enough for me. Plenty to talk about with Ma.
Are we gonna review Joker on the show?
I hadn't occurred to me. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, it's
When does it come
Niall-
out?
See it, but
yeah. Is nihilism horror? Because if so, then yes.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's close to relevant, but I can go
CC,
either way on
I
it.
have to know what you're doing right now.
Me?
Yeah.
There was a bug in my water.
You're just
and
gonna.
I didn't have a spoon, so I
You're
had
just-
to use this marker.
And now you're just gonna drink it?
Yeah, it's still
Okay.
good
Oh
water.
yeah, come on.
Okay.
Yeah,
I am
bug-
talking to the
bug flood.
cicada queen herself, so.
I mean, it was just a gnat. I mean, if it were a cockroach, no,
Oh.
I would have thrown the water out the window. But it was just a gnat, so it's okay.
Okay. Let me roll here for a moment. Oh, just stand by. I gotta do something quick.
Casey, I just punched a bunch of stuff into the schedule.
I just
Okay.
punched a bunch of stuff.
You know, like I was really hammering the keys. I was really. The big question is Nightingale, if that's something that we think is going to be available.
I have not seen that yet, but I am watching for it.
Okay, it's I feel like that's the only
Okay, we're
thing
gonna go.
that is out that might be on a top 25 list. Just based on the critics. I mean, who the hell
That's what I want
knows?
to talk about.
Oh yeah, because you submitted yours.
Oh, yeah.
This is the night I need Joe. I need to ask him to borrow his Disney Plus account so I can watch the Notre Dame game.
Wait, is Disney Plus isn't out?
It's on ESPN Plus.
Oh.
All right, I'm ready. Everybody mute. Semi.
Welcome to Bloody Good Horror, covering the best and worst of the horror genre since Halloween 2007. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing Ma.
Shortest title we've ever reviewed.
Surprisingly,
After
I was able to find a poster too, and I just typed in Ma too, which I was pretty excited about. I thought for sure that would turn up nothing I wanted, but there you go. I'll be your host for this evening. Joining me tonight, first up, she is our resident spooky goth artist here at Bloody Good Horror. She's coming to us from Hotlanta, Georgia. Not really a place you'd expect to find a goth, but we're here nonetheless. Please welcome Cece to the show.
Hello.
I mean, goths are everywhere, I guess, if we've learned
You
anything.
don't know anything about the goth culture of Atlanta. I just want to put that out there.
Is there one?
I mean, yes.
It's Cece's coven, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Next up on the show, joining us from Indiana, I am not sure if he's in a coven, but I guess we can ask him. Please welcome Casey to the show.
No covens, no future goth, but there are Hoosier goths. I've seen them.
Who's your goth? Who's your goth?
Yes.
I don't know. That just reminded me I was watching Tim Allen's sitcom yesterday. It's bad.
God.
I don't know how I got there in my head, but let's not explore it. Last up tonight on the show, he's the business manager of BloodyGoodHorror.com. He is a white man. He can't help it. It's not his fault.
Oh my God.
He went to Duke, which I guess I said the first thing. Probably the second one should have been clear. But his name is John Schnorrs. Please welcome him to the show.
This is going to be that kind of episode, huh? Good God.
Well, it's always the movies where we see wieners that the show gets weird.
Yep.
Gets you the most worked up.
Yeah, I audibly gasped.
Well,
And not
Yeah.
just
I
a not
mean-
just a wiener. It's like she like cups it for a second, and then you think something's gonna happen, and I was like,
I was strangely curious how she picked it up, but you know, we'll
She
get
was
there.
just
We'll
kinda
talk
like-
about that.
we're going frame by
like
frame.
you know, in a wrestling match when
I put it in slow motion.
you know, in a wrestling match when they got the guy in a submission hold, and to see if he's gonna quit or not, you lift up his arm and then you drop it. That was kind of what she did. She kind of just went like,
Yeah, but it was more delicate than that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it
There
was.
was tenderness.
There was actually, yeah. There's a lot of layers to that scene. Yeah. So we're here to review
That scene.
Ma, aka Octavia Spencer's magnum opus, which we'll get to. We missed it, missed in the theater. Put it on our list for video picks to catch up with in 2019, and here we are, John. Other things we're doing in 2019. We're getting ready here, coming in hot and heavy for the meetup. John, that was Cece. She made noise.
That was definitely Cece.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Did you unplug your mic?
Yes. So
Oh, there you
it
go.
got caught. It got caught. I'm so sorry.
Hey, John, tell me about the meetup.
Meetup, guys. I don't know if you've kind of registered this in your brains. We're 2 weeks away.
Oh,
There's only one weekend now between us and the weekend where we will be meeting up.
Really? That's
Um,
scary.
Wait, no, there might be two. Sorry,
there's two.
There's two. God damn, I was really. I see. That's how excited I was.
Now you got me all Luke Evans over here.
It's
Yeah.
Is that a flaccid reference? Or what?
Yes.
So, Jesus Christ.
I think they make pills for that, if that's a problem.
We're meeting up. This is our really only our second meetup since our 10-year anniversary meetup 2 years ago. We are venturing to Chicago. We've talked about this obviously a fair bit on the show. I would recommend everyone go to bloodygoodhorror.com. I believe it is the top image you will see on the site. All the information you need is there. It is the weekend of the 20th in Chicago. There's a patron meetup on Friday night, and then we will be having a public trivia event starting probably around 5:30. We basically will be running the entertainment from about 4 to 8 at the venue, and I'm going to forget the venue's name. Crown Liquors.
Ah,
Crown Liquors in Chicago. See that? It was in there. I just had to.
I know. Really, it should be Joe doing this, but
I had to let it come to the top of my brain.
Uh-huh.
So
mhm.
there you go.
Okay.
The 20th, Chicago,
Cool.
and the 21st.
And if you go there, you can get an event exclusive, John, T-shirt that our very own CC designed.
The T-shirts are in Joe's
Yeah.
apartment right now, or apartment. He lives in a house.
His house.
Yeah, they're in his house.
It is very spooky.
They look
and
great.
beautiful. I'm very excited. So yeah, that shirt will be available for patrons eventually to or for anybody to buy, but this version is only going to be for people at the meetup.
Yeah, and all of our $10 patrons are getting a T-shirt delivered to their door, assuming we have their address, which someone did email to let us know they changed addresses. So thank you, because
Yes,
we need to know your address. We will reach out. We're not going to just start firing
she
shirts off
emailed me on
willy-nilly.
a Saturday, so I didn't get it till today, but I did forward it as soon as I saw it. So
no, we will 100% be reaching out to everyone we owe a T-shirt to, probably after the meetup, if I'm just being honest, because there's a lot going on between now and then. But you will get a shirt before the spooky holiday time concludes.
Very exciting. Thank you, John. Other exciting things happening. We are formulating, John, our top 25 of the decade. And was I the first to get my list in?
No, you weren't.
What?
No, the spaceman lawyer, our good buddy, whose name I'm now going to forget and feel like an asshole.
He just Adam.
Adam. God. Well, he goes by spaceman lawyer on Slack. It's
how bad is it when I remember his name and you don't?
Well, I know. Listen,
I don't know where Shelton lives, John. He's worked with us for 12 years.
I hate to break this to you, Schnars, but he goes by Adam Spaceman Lawyer on Slack.
I knew his name.
It's literally in his name.
But listen, I might have been drinking whiskey because it's Labor Day.
So it's only two of us, though.
No, but Eric, you were second. Adam got his in first. So he's the true champion.
You told me that my list had some hot takes on it, or some surprises, and I'm actually not sure what that is.
Well, so here's we're not going to break down your list right now. I don't want to get
No. I will say I went to bat for some found footage that maybe some other people wouldn't have.
You had some stuff higher up than I was expecting, although I was not I wasn't surprised to see some stuff on your list. It was higher than I expected in some cases, and then there were a couple things toward the end where I was like, huh, okay. But that's okay. That's why we go through the exercise. There's a lot of good movies. There really are a lot of good movies. So
here's what I decided, and then we'll move on. We don't have to litigate the whole list now. But in doing this exercise, we live in the best time for horror. Period.
It's up there for sure.
This list, especially we did a list from the last decade, and at the beginning of that list, we were really still trying to climb out of the sort of post-Scream doldrums that the genre kind of went into, where everything was just kind of like that, and there wasn't a lot of ingenuity. And at the beginning of that decade, you were just starting to see this edgy direct-to-video indie stuff really break out, and some of that is on that list. But then to look at this list, it's mind-blowing. The vast majority of the amazing stuff was either limited or direct-to-video. There's definitely a ton of great theatrical too, but there are more subgenres being hit now. There is more ways to get horror. There are so many outlets for independent filmmakers with interesting ideas. I was blown away looking at this list. You could easily do a top 50 of all these movies, easily, and still leave stuff out. It's kind of amazing, honestly.
Is Ma are you going to have to revise your list to add Ma?
No. And somebody did mention it too, so we'll see. I don't know, maybe. I do really like Bill Hader, but
I would say there's still 3 movies this year that I want to see before I finalize my
what are
list,
the other
but
two?
Otherwise,
what would the other two be?
Parasite and Nightingale are the other two.
Okay. I know nothing about either one of them, but I'm sure they're
there you go. Get pumped.
I had real trouble with the 3 from this year, the 3 amazing ones, because I just didn't know what to do with them.
Well, and you're feeling real hot on them, you know.
Yeah, and also I have very specific ideas about how I want them on this year's list, and I'm like, well, I can't then have them out of order on my decade list. That doesn't make sense.
It would be an interesting play.
It would be
an interesting play.
I'm trying to stay consistent, John, with my hot takes.
I see the challenge of you trying to fit Crawl into your best of the decade, but
it's just Crawl 25 times. Yeah. But yeah, John, it's very exciting. So that's going to drop near Halloween, I think, right?
We're going to get it in before Halloween. I think the current goal is to do the reveal show the week before Halloween, because there's not a ton of great releases in the theater.
Yeah, we should just make that our Halloween show, basically.
Yeah, so we're working toward that for sure.
All right, cool. And then the next couple of weeks, there's some stuff coming up too, right?
We've got It Chapter 2 as you just mentioned, is this week. We actually have a pretty big break between that. The next theatrical thing that I have on the calendar, so Joker, we were talking a little bit about before, whether or not we're going to cover that, still TBD. The Addams Family, we have to decide on because
Though there's an Addams Family movie.
Animated.
an animated one.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
All right, so we're probably going to boot that. Zombieland 2 is out before Halloween.
That looks exciting.
The other stuff, I mean, there's stuff I've written down here. I have something written down called Countdown. I don't know if anyone's seen anything about that.
It sounds familiar, but
Otherwise, the next big the next big release is until after Halloween. That's Doctor Sleep. So it's a little quiet. We'll see. I'm sure they're going to sneak some stuff in here between now and then. They always do that. So
for some reason, every time I hear that Doctor Sleep, I want to whisper it. I want to be like, Doctor Sleep.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I think we might have talked about it last week. I finally saw the trailer when we were in the theater for Ready or Not, and I thought it looked great.
Wait,
I
did,
I mean, I've loved the book. Like when I read it, I put it off for a really long time because I was like, I don't know that it'll stand up to The Shining, and I was really impressed when I read it. So I'm really excited.
it's got a lot going for it. I mean, obviously, Ewan McGregor, amazing. Like he's amazing in everything. I thought it was interesting. It makes sense, but interesting that they do lean heavily on the footage from the original film in the trailer, and I wonder if it plays into the movie. Just because I know King, like, historically doesn't love that adaptation, but also, like, it probably was the only way this thing was going to get made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're not...
And I mean,
although I would have really respected if they used footage from the TV miniseries.
I mean, the book obviously has a lot of flashbacks in the way that, like, older Danny sees himself in those memories, so it will be interesting to see how much of the film they use.
Yeah, and I was really curious too to see the way they were balancing the color kind of color grading on the, because obviously that film is 40 years old or whatever. 1980. So that'll be really interesting. I mean, that's like an impeccably shot film, and I'm sure it was preserved really well, so you could really like digitize that footage and kind of do whatever you want with it. But it's pretty, I don't know, it's neat. I do, John, I have a little bit of PTSD from The Dark Tower, just as far as King adaptations go.
Yeah. No, I mean, I know you all covered it.
So there's part of me, I'm watching this trailer going, this could be amazing, or it could be a hot mess.
No. I feel like they weren't going to, I mean, sort of to Cece's point, they weren't going to do this if they weren't going to do it right, is sort of the sense I get. And people love the book. I haven't read the book. I probably do need to read the book. Before. I don't know.
I kind of think if they've got with as much, like you were saying, Eric, with as much footage as they got in the trailer from the original movie, that makes me really hope that there's some reverence there.
Yeah.
Unlike Dark Tower.
Yeah. I'm pretty pumped too. Ewan McGregor's doing
and it's Ted Flanagan, the guy who did Haunting of Hill House. So like, I don't imagine that he'll fuck it up.
Is it Mike Flanagan?
Mike Flanagan. Sorry, I'm thinking of
Ted's
Ted
his older brother.
Okay,
I didn't. Thinking of Ted Geohagen. Sorry.
I didn't know that. That actually gives me a lot of hope because I really love that show.
No, he hasn't made anything bad in a while.
I finally finished that Hill House there, John. Like literally a month ago, because I just got busy and I had one episode to watch, and I had built it up in my head, and then I finally watched it. I'm like, oh, all the scary stuff happens in the second to last episode, and then the last one is just like sad emotional stuff.
Yeah, I think I actually am on the second to last episode and haven't watched yet. And honestly, the show makes me really anxious when I watch it.
The second to last episode is a banger for sure.
Yep.
That's really, that whole thing is really creepy and really good.
Yeah, it's scary.
I also, and last thing, John, then we can move on. I finally finished Limetown season 2.
Oh, I'm saving. I still have it. Should I be pounding through it? When
this show came out, so they debuted it like season 2 after like years off from the first season last year, but they did this really obnoxious thing where they were releasing episodes every 2 weeks. And they debuted it right before.
They only had like 6 episodes, I think.
Something like that. But they debuted it right before Halloween, which meant they literally finished it like Christmas. Like, I don't want to listen to spooky podcasts on Christmas. Like, what the So
people are singing Christmas carols. You're walking down the street listening to them.
I made it 3 episodes in and I gave up because I'm like, I'll just wait and I'll listen to it. And then I was out of the spooky mood and I just never, so I finally decided to go back to it. I didn't like it very much.
Mm.
It's like overwritten. It's like kind of convoluted. I really missed the main character from the first season because the whole thing is that they're trying to find her because she, like at the end of the first season, she
Yeah,
like gets abducted or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's less horror-y, and now it's just kind of like up its own ass with all the it's like sci-fi mythos and stuff. I don't know, dude. I didn't like
So
it.
they went lost with it.
It's
like
kind
the
of
TV
crazy,
show?
yeah. Like, is there's a simplicity about that first season that just is, it's fun, but I don't know. I was not a fan.
Yeah, and then you got Locke, and you get that other guy fighting with each other at
Yeah.
the hatch.
So when Sophie finished it, I remember like back in the fall, and then she wanted to know what I thought. I'm gonna wait till it, comes around, then I'll finish it. So I was like, texting me in May. This was in December. So she
This
set
is the
some,
last text you've had there.
this is why I love Sophie. She set an alarm on her phone, and she texted me in May and was like, so what did you think? And I'm like, I'm not going to probably listen to it until the fall. I was like, set an alarm for November 1st. And she did, but I got back to her before that.
Nice.
So there you go.
You beat her.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not good. I don't like it. Don't like it one bit.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Your 11-month-old Limetown review. So, here for all the hot takes.
Might call for an Eric show, John. I don't know. One last thing I just want to say. If you want to see the documentary that I'm in, it's called Survival of the Film Freaks. You can check it out on Amazon Prime. You can rent it.
Ooh.
And see my swarthy professor look that I
I'm
cultivated.
still
for
waiting till I can stream it on like Shudder or something. Come on.
that. Yeah, well, you can rent it on Amazon Prime, dude. You can support independent filmmakers.
All right, but I'm using the Bloody Good Horror credit card. Just to be clear, so.
Well, let me know when you rent it, and I'll watch it after you.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. I'll
All right.
text you.
I hate all of you guys. Okay. All right, guys.
John is the BGH business manager. It's your right to rent it for all of us.
No, that's true. That's true. Fair.
I was logged into the BGH YouTube account one time, and what did I buy? I rented. It was Hotel Transylvania 3
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
because I was alone. I was home alone with my daughter for the weekend, and then he's like, "Did you just rent Hotel Transylvania?"
Well,
It's like,
the
yes,
thing
and I
that
already
think I was
regret
most
it.
upset about is it's on Netflix. That's the one that's on Netflix. The
No.
one where they go to the beach or whatever. I
saw-
know 'cause my
Yeah,
children
okay.
watch
It was like a cruise ship.
Yeah, yeah.
Those movies are bad. they're
the
not
first
good.
one
The first one was fine.
It's,
No. Sorry,
I don't know.
it's Adam
They
Sandler.
get, there's way worse.
I can't truck with Adam Sandler anymore. Sorry, John.
Yeah,
Ship has
that's fair.
sailed. Speaking of Hotel Transylvania 3, that ship has sailed. Okay, guys. It is time. Let's take a quick break and review Ma.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. Got the prime time, bitch. Main feature.
And we're back. John Schnars.
Yeah.
I watched 5 minutes of a Duke football game on Saturday.
Whew. It wasn't much of a game. I did not watch any of it.
They were doing pretty good when I was watching. I was like,
Well, yeah,
okay.
at halftime it was like at least like a football game, and then they got,
Do you
throat
watch? Do you
stomped.
watch? Do you get like mad?
No. Eric, I have 3 children. Like, what do you think I'm watching football games? Come on.
So Daddy's watching football. Leave me alone.
Yeah, that goes over really well. It's like, and then I get screamed at about someone wanting to play Nintendo, or it's like, it's a good time. We have a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great. All right, guys. John, please bring
Yes.
us the word of the day.
Eric, today's word, abettor. ABETTOR. A person who encourages or assists someone to do something wrong, in particular to commit a crime. It's funny because they actually don't list the origin, but if you look up a bet, you can get it. So it comes from the Latin ad, and then, I don't know, combines with Old French. meaning
Old
to
French.
hound
I've never
or
heard of
urge
Old
on.
French.
I don't know. This is actually a more. It's basically, it comes from the French word meaning urge to do. A
Oh.
bet. So yeah.
You know who didn't have the urge to do in this movie? That guy.
Which one?
He wasn't ready.
Evans?
He wasn't
Oh,
ready.
okay.
He wasn't ready.
Jesus. Yeah, I mean, you could see where you wouldn't be feeling it in that situation.
Well, he was dead,
Yeah.
so. No, he wasn't
So-
dead yet. He was still alive.
No, he was.
He was.
was
dog's
bleeding, though.
blood-
He was
had
frightened.
Dog's blood being infused into his body.
He was.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say he's frightened, and I think we all know what happens in those situations.
I could see.
I don't know
infused
because
with dog blood
that
caused
looks like it
problems.
was still very well awake. It may not have.
Well,
started
maybe
to-
he's a shower then, not a grower.
I
All
was
right.
gonna say, the shower, not a grower.
All right, guys. Let's stay focused here for like at least the next.
It
15
takes all kinds, okay?
I hope your synopsis talks about dicks. That's all I can say.
The whole film just hinges around that one scene.
It does. The linchpin of the entire movie.
Good lord. Ma.
Who made this movie, John? It's a Blum.
Yeah,
It's a Blum
so-
production.
it's a Blum. It is definitely a Blum. I did a little digging into this. So, director Tate Taylor, probably best known to people as the director of The Help.
Really?
It's worth it. So Octavia Spencer won an Oscar for The Help.
Okay, I was okay.
you
I
may
thought. Yeah,
remember.
yeah.
Tate Taylor is definitely a white gentleman, though. I think it's worth pointing that out before we get into some of the discussion later. But he directed The Help. He also directed the only other thing that folks here will be familiar with is The Girl on the Train, which I believe we covered.
Yeah.
So not even a first time stopper by here at the old Club BGH, Tate Taylor. It's written by another gentleman who probably most notable for being a writer on Workaholics. So
Which I can kind of see.
yeah, it's really interesting. The guy sorry, his name is Scotty Landis. Landis. Yeah, I mean it's this movie is got to be one of the most unique and I guess it's fair to say like singular visions in some ways. Like it's not, there's not a crew of writers that this thing was getting like a workshop through. I mean, to Eric's point, this got picked up by Blumhouse and Tate Taylor and Octavia Spencer really kind of brought it to life. Really quickly, the story is of Maggie. Maggie is a sophomore in high school, I believe. She and her mother, played by Juliette Lewis, relocate back to Juliette Lewis's hometown. Did they ever mention where they are? It sort of reads as like I was thinking Louisiana
It's
or
the
something,
South
but-
somewhere, because when she gets in the fight with the sassy lady at the nail salon, she has like a pretty heavy Southern accent. I couldn't place it.
Yeah.
Maybe CC could for us. No,
It could have been Georgia. You know what? We're going with Georgia.
it's Hotlanta.
It's-
It's Hotlanta.
Somewhere.
Okay. I
outside-
will tell you, Atlanta does not look like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's definitely the suburbs.
It's somewhere.
/ like the rural exurbs of Atlanta.
Yeah, that's more. Yeah.
So, no, it's a pretty like sparsely populated, almost like a farming community. There's lots of open space. But you have Juliette Lewis moving back. Well, the other reason I thought it was Louisiana is because she works at a casino.
Yeah. There's 2 casinos in Georgia.
Yeah. So Juliette Lewis is essentially sort of like a drink lady at a casino. We kind of learned that
John,
she's had a falling.
word
yeah.
word of the day: waitress.
Wait, stop.
A
better
drink lady.
drink. What?
The hell is?
I don't know.
Are you
they
on?
I guess they're waitresses. In any
Yeah.
event, Eric.
Yes, they're called
please,
waitresses.
Let's work through the synopsis here.
Idiot.
They get back to this town. Maggie starts going to school. She kind of immediately falls in with, I wouldn't call them like necessarily like the cool kids, but she just falls in with a crew who
Yeah,
are just like,
they drink, so they're pretty cool.
well, they're party kids for sure.
Who's telling this recap?
Yeah, Eric is really
Cece, is
hyped
this
up
your
for
first
this.
show?
So,
I mean, it has been a minute since it has been this.
so yeah, you have this crew of essentially 5 kids that adopt Maggie, or 4 kids. She becomes one of them. They are trying desperately to buy alcohol by standing directly outside the door of the liquor distributor and handing people a list of things to buy them and asking if they'll buy it. eventually Ma, her name in the film is actually Sue Ann, Octavia Spencer. She comes upon this crew and decides she's going to buy them liquor. And this starts up a fast friendship. And eventually Ma invites them to party at her house. And she sort of plays the kind of like benevolent, I don't know, benevolent person about town. Like she just like doesn't want them driving drunk is the reason she's giving. But it's definitely a little shady. I mean, anytime an adult person is
yeah.
asking you to come to their home to like drink and like
It's weird,
party,
but also like
a
you're a
little weird.
teenager. It's weird,
Especially
but
in today's day and age.
Yeah.
it's weird, but also
Yeah.
like you're a teenager looking to drink, and so your brain is like not, catching the red flags or doesn't
Well,
care.
Yeah, I mean, look, if this was a man that was doing this, they all would have been freaking out. But the fact that she's a woman, I think there's like the fact
No, I
that she's
agree
like
with you.
black woman, like I think there's like a whole lot of like stuff going on here that's sort of unsaid. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in this movie, period. But so they start partying at her house, and it just like at first it's quote unquote fine. I mean, we can have a conversation about high school like party culture if you all want to go down that road, but it's fine in that like they're partying there and like no one's dying. And,
It's
like,
pretty PG as far as drinking parties go. I feel like,
but there's like true like blacking out. Like kids are out of hand. Like it's like getting rowdy. And Ma's like down there drinking with them. She's like feeding them alcohol. It's a little weird.
My favorite part is the first scene where she like, cause the first one it's just like the couple kids hanging out, and then like there's a party montage in this movie where it's just like Ma dancing, and she's all like the first time it gets really funny is when she's really dressed up.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, it's so, and she's
With
got the
on,
hat.
you mean? Yes.
The hat, and she's just getting down. It's a whole montage of her, like in another movie. That's just like a fun
Well,
party montage.
The music is also, I mean, it's a really, I don't know, we'll get into it. In any event, they're partying there. It all sort of starts to get a little wonky because I can't remember what well, they eventually are like, this is a little weird. Like Ma's like creeping on them. She's sending them messages on Snapchat, I guess, or like some type of messaging platform.
It was unclear.
Yeah, she's like leaving like booze outside of the school, like near their car. I mean, it gets a little crazy.
Like bonkers.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Maggie is starting to sort of like have a relationship with one of the boys. Yeah, and so
I'll tell you what, for a new kid in school, Maggie sure had it pretty easy. She made friends in literally an hour and had a boyfriend in 3 days.
if you're like a tall, attractive, like skinny lady, like you're gonna do okay in high school. Like it's not. I don't know. I don't want to.
It's hard to say, John. That you just described the opposite of me. So
Well, I had sort of feminine features and was pretty thin, so it's
you did pretty good. Yeah, I know, I get it.
Yeah, it was fine, but yeah. So in any event, they basically try to break up with Ma, and that's when things start to get a little wacky. At that point, Ma has sort of already gotten her hooks into other kids at the school, so there's like more party. The parties get really big, I mean, so and eventually people start dying. It's sort of revealed, and without getting into spoilers, it's revealed that Ma went to the same high school as them. There was some sort of incident. We sort of know that Ma like had a bad time at high school, and you kind of see that she's now like reliving a lot of these high school experiences with these kids. And so the rest of the film kind of unspools why and how and to what flaccid ends.
Are we not even going to mention? I mean, I know we'll get to it, but I feel
Are
like
you just like trying to work up to the scene, or what?
no, I'm talking about her daughter. Like,
Oh yeah,
that-
yeah.
that's kind of a
I mean,
reveal. We can get there.
Okay.
It's a pretty big reveal.
CC,
So we can get there. but-
Cece, here's what I'd like to know.
What?
Have you ever had a stranger outside of a convenience store buy you alcohol? And also, what did you think of this movie?
That's not what I thought you were gonna ask. I'm kind of disappointed now.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
No, I have not. I feel like most of the parties I went to, there was already alcohol there. And then I didn't start using a fake ID until college, and that was to get into like bars to go to concerts. So I did not have this experience.
What did you think of the movie, though?
Oh,
Yeah, that was the second question.
that one.
Was it not realistic then? You were like, yeah, this is bullshit. I'm out of here.
Oh Lord. I had heard a lot of mixed things about this movie, so I really I really didn't know what to think going into it, and I still don't know what I think about the movie. Octavia Spencer was amazing and super creepy and very well. I mean, she's an amazing individual anyway, so I didn't expect anything less from her. But every time I thought I knew where this movie was going, just some weird shit kept happening, and I was like, this is really unsettling, especially to it's the afternoon on a Monday and I'm watching this movie and I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. This is making me feel uncomfortable. So
My favorite
I
new
guess
thing is when Cece texts us in the middle of a movie, and it's always like, "What the hell am I watching?" It's like she forgets she's on a horror podcast. She's just like, "Why are you guys making me watch this?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "You know why? We do it every week."
This was a normal movie.
well, that was at the point where when we get to one of the reveals and I was like, wait, where is this movie going? So I thought I was watching, I thought Ma was going to be about the girl who killed her mom. But anyway, we can get there. Anyway, I thought it was good. I think I liked it.
Casey.
I may have had one person at one time in my past buy me alcohol outside of a convenience store. I've never done it for other kids, honest to God. Ultimately, with this movie, I was really excited when it was coming out, and I was hoping to see something fairly crazy. In the end, I was kind of disappointed in this movie. There was parts of this movie that really did not get fleshed out, and I think it made it muddled and messy. Octavia Spencer, sorry, she was fantastic. I thought she was great. I like the kids for the most part in this movie too. For me, the biggest problem with this movie is there's a subplot that Cece had hinted towards with Octavia Spencer's daughter, and we can get into it later, but I don't think it was handled very well, at least the setup part of it, and that really kind of killed things for me because it's like, why is this big dangling participle hanging right there? There was some great stuff that did happen in here. They did get nutty. I enjoyed those nutty parts.
Will you stop it, dude? Stop it.
No,
So impressed.
I'm on a roll, man. But yeah, ultimately I was disappointed. Not disappointed that I watched it, but I was disappointed it did not live up to what my expectations were.
Okay. Great. John, you have any wiener puns or what?
No, I will. I'll keep it very PG here. I was super excited about this movie when the trailers came out because it did look super wacky. Now having seen it, because I'm actually like disappointed we didn't catch it when it first came out. I sort of had the same experience as CC, is like there was like very mixed chatter, and I'm somewhat surprised by it only because when you watch the trailer, you're kind of like, all right, movie looks just like nothing I've ever seen, honestly, and it's essentially what you get, right? Like, it's not. I mean, look, to Casey's point, it's not like there are times where it could have been crazier. It's not the most gory or graphic thing that it could possibly have been. This movie has so many layers to it, though, and there is so much going on at so many different times. I mean, it's somewhat of a spoiler to say that it's essentially a rape revenge film. Now it's a
It's
like
a lot more complicated
2019
than that because
it's
I
a
don't.
2019 problematic.
But we can
version of that,
talk about it though
sure.
because I don't think she's out for revenge until things turn.
Sure. Well, yeah. I mean, we can absolutely talk about it. There's a couple points where you're right. Like, this movie could go a different way, and then it gets ratcheted up. I mean, she is.
I really think she just wants friends, and then I think she comes on too strong because she cray, and then it's like then when they start turning on her, that's when she starts like snapping.
Sure.
Well,
but,
I don't know. I mean, just as a
Yeah, I don't know.
sidemark real quick, like the only reason I felt like she bought the beer for them in the beginning was because she looked at the van the kid was driving and
Yes,
realized
there
that it
is
was
that
Coleman's.
moment, and I feel like they suggest that in the beginning. But then if you really watch her actions, like she's not. There's plenty of opportunity she has to do bad things to that kid, and she doesn't. Like I think that may have been her original intention,
No, well, she's like in love with him. I mean, like there's like
Yes,
a
yes,
level of.
yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
all right, so, but this is what I say. Like when I say it's super layered, right? And this, you all have called it out, but like the Octavia Spencer performance, it's funny because it's over the top. Like it's sort of hammy in the ways that you want it to be hammy. And frankly, I would even say, and obviously we've been joking about one specific scene a lot. There's a lot of points in this movie where it went the place that I was kind of like, I won't. They won't.
They
They don't have
won't
the
do it.
balls
Yeah.
to do this, and then it like
They did.
does that, and I'm like, holy shit.
Oh,
Like,
there's wiener and balls.
the other thing I'll say, and this is like kind of like one of the last things. This, so I should have started. I didn't answer Eric's most important question. I have had the experience of. I will never say that I should just be upfront. I've never asked anyone to buy beer, but I have been the person driving the car when someone else asked to buy beer. Like that was like a pretty common experience
It's
back when I was
just-
in high school.
Yeah, it's just a funny like Americana kind of scene, and I just wonder how much like I had an older brother, so I didn't need to like beg strangers to get me alcohol.
Yeah, so we did a fair bit. I mean, and we knew some older kids, but it was more like they would go away to college, and then you're like, all right, well, we're screwed again. So we definitely did it. It wasn't like every weekend or something, but it was like not infrequent. And so, but what I was getting at is, I think the kids here are all like actual kids for the most part. I mean,
Yeah, the
they're
casting's
young.
pretty good. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean,
They're-
that boyfriend kid looked like he was 12.
I know.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I haven't looked. I did look at the main actress. She's about 22. But
She was the one that I thought would be older out of the rest. The rest of them looked younger.
yeah, I mean the one that she's in the relationship with. I mean, yeah, he could have been.
He's 13.
10. But yeah, so in any event, they all were real to me. Like they felt like real kids. And yeah, I mean it's weird because like we can talk about the ways that I think this isn't the best script in the world, but it is. I've never seen anything like this movie in a lot of ways, and that's pretty interesting.
That for me, yeah, is a really good, I think, point to hammer home. It's what we talk a lot on this show about. There's a lot of praise for Blumhouse in this show, and I think I always like to specify, like, I'm not talking about ghost movie Blumhouse because like that's what they do to keep the lights on, but like you look at stuff like this, Happy Death Day. There's a million others. I don't have them off the top of my tongue. Maybe John can list some more. But what they've done the last couple of years is they have this really great way of like greenlighting scripts that are exactly what John is saying. Crap you've never seen before. You know what I mean? It's not just another variation on a ghost movie or another variation on a slasher or a possession thing. Like you've never seen anything like this, and that's what I love about this movie. I really, really enjoyed this thing. The screenwriting things, even though I can kind of like see the points, like didn't really bother me because what this thing has is a lot of tension. Like, and I think a lot of it is the filmmaking, but a lot of it is just Octavia Spencer's performance because she is just so good at like teetering on the edge of insanity, but being able to hold it together. And then obviously as the movie slowly goes on, she kind of starts to crack. Like some of my favorite scenes in the movie are, by the way, we didn't even mention Allison Janney is like a cranky vet in this. Like she's Octavia Spencer's boss. She's got to be friends with somebody who asked her to do a favor and be in the movie because otherwise she's on screen for like 90 seconds. But she made me laugh every time because she's just yelling. Like Octavia Spencer.
She's so mean to her.
Well, no, but Octavia Spencer's a terrible employee. She's like zoning out and she's not paying attention. She's on her phone. It's like, and then she just will pop her head in and yell at her and then leave the room. It's so funny. But those scenes I like those little scenes though because they flesh out her mental state a lot more. You know what I mean? Like you see a lot of her, you get a lot of Octavia Spencer in this movie, and that allows them to really flesh out where her state of mind is and when things turn and all that stuff.
Well, and to your point, it's not super rare, but it's pretty rare where the main character is also the bad guy.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like,
Right.
I mean, Maggie, Maggie's probably, whether or not Maggie is on screen more than Ma is like a toss up. But Maggie's the vehicle through which we're experiencing the film. She's the new girl in town, yada yada. Octavia Spencer is like the star. She's the only one whose name is on the poster, So, and she gets a ton of screen time. Not all of the best lines, but a lot of the best lines, obviously. So, it's unique in that way as well.
And definitely the best hat. in the entire movie.
Well, all right. So the point I was going to make earlier is one of the things I loved about there's actually like so many layers to this. We should spend the time on it, but the party scenes I loved because the music was all like I'm pretty sure from the time that Ma was in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
It
kind
was
of
all
brilliant.
like
Yeah.
80, like 80 to
I
84
love that. I
era.
love that stylistic choice because I think it informs a lot of her like mental
Yeah.
state.
And there were some great jams. I mean,
They really was.
I'm
that's
ready to
true,
go
too.
get
I mean,
this
that's what's funny though.
soundtrack.
But like I was talking before about the party montage. It's like that scene taken out of context, put into another movie is like fun. You're like, yeah, we're having fun, but it's like this weird undercurrent of like, oh boy, this is getting weird. Like that's kind of those are the moments I loved.
Yeah. Well, really quick on the Blumhouse point, just so we can close out the whole kind of like the Blums and what they've been doing with horror. So this movie they shot for $5 million, and it domestic in the U.S. made 45 million. So like 45 million, you'd be like, oh, it could have, it's not. So they also did obviously Get Out is the other movie when you were looking for movies. But the funny thing to me is that the movie that this is probably like closest to in terms of like just how weird and how unique it is Creep.
Oh,
Which was also a
That's
Blumhouse
a good
movie.
comparison.
I actually was like in my head was like I want to see a crossover. I want to see that crossover, and I would also like to see an MCU type movie with Ma, Dennis Quaid, and Greta Lady.
Well, yeah, that's the other one we got to come back to. No, because it's funny, Eric. You've been kind of harping on this like quote unquote trend. Whether or not it's a trend, well, we can come back to.
I'm
This
just
was the first
considering them
movie
an unofficial trilogy now.
Well, but this was when I was watching this, I was like, "Fuck, Eric's right. He is fucking on right now." It's because this movie is like the most explicit, and obviously we can talk about like a lot of it has to do with the fact that like Ma is hanging out with the kids
Mm.
of the people that harassed her in high school, right? So there's like a truly generational warfare thing happening. Like it's a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
more
yeah.
explicit here than it is in those previous two
Almost
movies.
Nightmare on Elm Street-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the subtext has become text
Yeah.
in that regard. But yeah,
I mean,
My
it's just
biggest-
wild that we saw all three of those movies in 2019. Isn't that insane?
Mhm.
Yeah, that is nuts. My big, like I hinted at in talking about my feelings on this. My biggest problem was this relationship between Ma and her daughter, and we can call spoiler alerts or whatever. But there's this whole big subplot on like a Munchausen by proxy type thing with the way
Mhm.
she's teaching treating her daughter, and keeping her prisoner upstairs in their house, and they don't do anything really to set that up. They do set up the Maggie being nice to the daughter so that the daughter feels the need to help later on, which seems like it feels cheap because it feels like they just set that up there to make sure the daughter's there at the end of the movie. Because she's a key part at the end of the movie. But the whole reason, there's no real explanation on why Ma treats her like that. And once we get the big reveal of what happened to Ma in the past, it's not even a result of that, I don't think.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that. Okay, so I think the thing with the daughter is actually interesting because I thought for sure they were going to reveal that it wasn't her daughter, that somehow she had like kidnapped some
That's
other
what I was
teenager.
thinking.
Oh,
You're right.
I thought they were going
Which
to go
would have worked.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to go with it was the daughter of one of the like high school like tormentors. who, like,
Yeah.
impregnate
Well,
her. That's what I was
except
thinking.
we eventually see that she was definitely the only black person in that school.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, dude, if that was the thing that was like, I don't believe that, like, come on. Yeah, I don't know. You're all right, whatever.
No, that was Cece's background just went red and it like
Yeah.
freaked me out for a second.
But that was the big hang up for me, because the fact that they didn't explain this setup. And when we see some really good stuff and the crazy shit happen at the end of the movie, when you get to the final resolution, it just to me, it felt cheap, because it felt like they shoehorned that whole daughter subplot in there just to get us
Oh.
at the ending.
I did text Eric to tell him that they stole this ending from Billy Madison, which I was a little upset about. But, otherwise, no, I mean, so I thought it was interesting because it does create a little bit of tension. Like, I will, it's funny. Because I generally would say I agree with Casey that the daughter thing was the thing most poorly handled. Here's what I will say. They set it up enough with when they're partying down there, you hear like banging upstairs. There's like a little bit of like
Yeah.
she obviously tells them don't come upstairs. All right, fine. That could be like a lot of different things. Then they do go upstairs and they hear banging. I'm thinking like, man, she's got like some, you see like these drugs that she's taking out of the fridge. It's at least telegraphed. And then when the girls actually go upstairs, and this is where this script is like pretty proficient in that none of these things are left hanging rather. They have to go upstairs because Ma is like stealing their personal effects, but it's like all this shit that like they really, really care about. It's not just like whatever, like little throwaway jewelry. It's like the earrings her mom gave her.
God, there
and,
really
like,
is a lot going on in the script. I actually totally
yeah,
forgot
no,
about that
that's what I'm
thread.
saying. Like there's a ton of plot. And so then they have to go upstairs. They get up there and there's this like gate where you're like, what the fuck is going on? And you see someone walk across the background. Like I thought all of that stuff was actually like well done. Like it was handled well to the point where I was like, all right, whatever is going on, like this movie has like a whole extra layer. Now when it is revealed, so here's my problem with the daughter is that like this daughter is a sophomore in high school because we see her earlier in the film. So this daughter has like been around, and to me the problem there is that Octavia Spencer's character, the Ma character, Sue Ann, is actually like a bigger part of the community than we're sort of led to believe, right? Like for her to have a daughter in high school, like, I mean, I guess she could just like never show up at anything and like never be around. And obviously she's abusing her daughter in like really fucked up ways, but the daughter still goes to school. She has a wheelchair, like she has doctors, like so that's the part that makes it like, it raises the bar. Now what she does is when the kids start coming around a party, she just like really starts ramping up the daughter abuse and like pulls her out of school. And so like now that's where it's like, again, it's like at least to me it all like it passes at least like the sniff test for me that I was like willing to go down the road, but it does like open up to Casey's point like a lot of
it
Well,
could,
yeah,
but
I
on the
just
other
have a hard
hand,
time
it is
with
a
why did she
tidy
treat her like that?
yeah.
because she mean. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Well,
the whole basis of Munchausen by proxy or whatever is the fact that they like the mother or the parent doing it gets attention.
You want to keep
and
them
they
sick
live-
so they need you, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really her. I mean, it just feeds in more to Ma's personality of like that's the only way she feels like she can get attention or get praise is because she's the mother of a sick child. So I think that like I mean it's just part of the layers of the movie, but I think the way they handled it, we were really expecting it to like lead up to something
Yeah.
a little
because
further.
because they do a really good job with everything else that we see Ma do in the movie. It's pretty obvious comes across really clearly on why she's doing it, and it's the fact that it's these people that bullied her when she was a kid's children, and why she's going in there and after and stuff like that. Everything fits, but this seems kind of out of nowhere to me, and that's just my big hang up with the movie, why I felt disappointed by it.
Yeah. So they talk a little bit about the fact that she had an ex-husband. So as a way of transitioning toward the ending, the eventual reveal, and I sort of mentioned that there's a little bit of a rape revenge element here. Like, it's not that she was just like tortured or like teased and kind of like bullied by kids. She's like basically we see in several flashbacks the way that she was set up for essentially like a sexual assault type of situation.
Oh,
I mean,
definitely.
it's sorry, I don't mean to like, I'm not trying to belittle it and say essential, like it's a little more complicated. Basically she like goes into this like closet at the school thinking she's like going to have like some kind of sexual experience with one guy, but he had like tricked her and it's like dark and she can't tell that it's actually another. It's basically the
I don't even think
Revenge of the Nerds
I don't even think I
rape
picked
scene.
that up, to be honest with you, that it was another guy. I just knew that when she came out of the room, like 30 people were there just being like, hey.
No, yeah, it was
Yeah.
another dude, and it wasn't the guy. Well, because the guy that she thought she was gonna hook up with is the dad,
Yeah, is
Yeah,
Luke
it's
Evans.
Luke.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
flaccid penis dad. So I had to bring it back. No, so you.
Do you think
essentially
it was
get this-
real, or do you think they used like a
No,
prop?
Oh, no.
that was, come on.
That was way too like smooth, and the color was way too like consistent for it to be.
Okay, I guess CC knows. All right.
CC, like expert
I
on
told you,
penises
man.
over here.
I told you I put it in slow motion. I was like, well, it just made me think of what is that movie with Mark Wahlberg?
Boogie Nights with the
Boogie
stunt
Nights.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
it just made me think of that movie.
Yes. No, it's yeah. I mean, either way,
She also just like I had to slow motion it because the way she picks it up, it's just like it's so delicate, and I was like, wait, is she's very delicately picking it up, and then she's got a butcher knife in the other hand, and I was like, oh, okay, I see where this is going.
well, so because Eric sort of talked about this in his thing, like this movie, the plot, like it's not immediately clear that it's going to go full sort of like Gonzo, even up to like the turn of the third act. And I think the sequence, I mean, for me, the scene where it like it's going to be really bad is when Luke Evans threatens her, which is what sort of like immediately precedes him then being in her bed with the butcher knife. We didn't mention again in the mythos of Sue-Ann. She works at a veterinarian's office, and so she has access to all these drugs. So she's like always going around, just pounding people with whatever, but drugs that make them pass out. She's giving the daughter drugs that like make her sick. Like it's
Also,
but that
multiple
is-
times she takes people's animals and she's like, "Oh, I'll just fill out the rest," and they didn't even tell her what the animal needed.
Yeah.
No, well, they all
I'm
needed
just like,
shots. Like everybody's
Yeah,
bringing them in
oh,
for shots.
shots. Okay, like you're not
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
tell me which ones, or
No, it was shorthand. Clearly, the screenwriter has never had a pet. So.
Yeah.
we did. There's that funny scene too that somebody pointed out that. I'm sorry, John. What's the rest of your point about the?
No,
the-
well, I was just saying, like, so basically, because you had kind of teed up that, like, you don't know if she's gonna go full kind of, Joker, like she's not gonna go all embrace the darkness, but that sequence where Luke Evans like sets her up to meet him for a drink and like quote unquote catch up, and then basically just like straight up threatens her because he has a tracker on his son's car. Luke Evans runs a
Yeah.
security firm. Again, like this is all like pretty well executed screenplay stuff.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy when we're saying
I
it, but
thought
it's all like set up.
that
effectively.
scene I thought is like the most tense scene in the movie, and again, I think it
Oh,
speaks.
yeah.
I think it speaks to like all the emotional layers that are happening because he asked her out, right? Now, like there was this prank thing in high school, but she obviously really liked him, and so she gets kind of dressed up and they go out, and there's like cordial
Well, it's what she always-
conversation.
with what you think she might have wanted all along when she
Right.
starts hanging out with the kids.
Right? There's like
well,
cordial.
yeah, and you think that he's gonna like not show up there for
Right.
a little bit.
Yeah.
It's
They got-
weird, but there's like cordial conversation for like 30 seconds, and then he just like turns dark, and he's like, basically threatens her to stay away from his son. Just a little subtle like acting that's going on in that scene with Octavia Spencer realizing she's kind of he's got her, and then but then there's this moment, and again, it's like your sympathy. There are moments when as you're seeing more of Octavia Spencer's childhood in this prank, and so you're you're to some degree relating to her, at least like sympathizing with her. And then it kind of amps up even more because this guy, while he's threatening her, straight up just is like, "You're a loser. You've always been like very uncalled for, my dude. Like, probably not necessary." I get he was freaked out, but he just goes there, and you're like, "Holy shit!" Like, there's just so much. It's really interesting the layers of like who you relate to. Like, everybody has a thing. Like, even the dad. He's kind of an asshole, but like his wife died, and he's got this new girlfriend who's kind of a lush and isn't very nice, and like,
Kind of a lush.
yeah, well,
Ooh.
oh, dude, and that scene where she's jogging, holy f!
Yeah.
The brilliance of that scene, is there's no music, there's no
Yeah.
build up, there's no even after it happens, there's no musical cue. It's just like bam, and she just keeps
Well,
going, and I was like,
They showed that one in the trailers, which I was a little bummed about because like
Oh, I don't think
see the
I didn't
trailer
remember
for it,
that.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
I was waiting for that car sequence because they do show it in the trailer. I'm like, who is that? But yeah, no, it's good. That's
it's
like the
kinda
first
nice-
real kill too.
Yeah, and
think.
it's nice watching it though too in that in the movie, in the context of the movie, because she's driving like the veterinarian clinic's truck, right? And
Yeah.
she tags this lady's tags this lady jogging down the street. So there's like no thought on how do I hide this or anything like that. She's just like, "Fuck you."
Well, yeah, and it's interesting because when the movie does go sort of off the deep end, like she's all in. Like there's no
Yeah.
coming back from where she's been. One quick point I was noticing on IMDb, the director Tate Taylor is also the cop who I believe is the
Ah.
second kill, maybe the third.
Yeah.
So, you know, I thought he was the cop was fine. You know,
I
he's
always
fine.
find those scenes really tense when like somebody is like being held captive and there's someone at the door. Like Misery does this
Yeah.
really brilliantly. It's
half
kind of
the movie,
it's kind of a
basically.
horror staple at this point, I feel like, but when it's done well, I'm always like it's just so tense because
Well,
you want that person to like you're like
that sequence it's also set up pretty well because the only other time you see the cop is when he goes to bust them for drinking at the quote unquote rock pile, which is
Mhm.
where the kids were drinking before they were at Maz. And he
that
literally
I
shows
wish
up
Joe was on for that because that definitely reminded me of my childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He shows up with the rock pilot. Well, it reminded me, except for the part where the cop was like, "I'll give you 10 minutes to clear out," because the cops in our town were straight up like, pulling their guns and going after kids. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, Tate Taylor. There you go.
I mean, do we want to talk about just kind of before we wrap up here, just the kind of like, it is interesting. The racial aspect is interesting because like
Mhm.
she's clearly was the only black person in the school, at least that we see.
Yeah.
But it's not ever mentioned. I mean, there is a definite feeling of like a racial dynamic to the bullying. You know what I mean? Like you can't escape it when you're watching this like group of white students bully
Well,
her.
I mean,
I
but
don't know.
But
I
on the
think if
other
they had-
hand, the script
she-
doesn't ever call attention to it beyond just
Yeah.
presenting it.
I feel like if she was like a nerdy white student, it would have been identical.
Okay,
Now, I
okay,
think
but that's not my
we might
point.
bring
That's
that
not my
to-
point. It's the optics of it. I don't. It doesn't matter
all right,
swapping it
fair,
out. I'm just
fine.
saying I'm watching it, and it's on my mind.
I mean, I definitely think there's some racial elements to it, especially because I mean, she has a conversation kind of a one-sided conversation to the kid who plays Darrell, when he's passed out and she like paints him in whiteface. Like
yeah.
there, I mean, like I appreciated that was definitely a layer to her trauma, but
She says like there can only be one of us.
yeah, there's only room for one of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a moment. They have a moment earlier in the film too when
Mhm.
he first shows up, and I can't remember what she says to him, but I actually like they at least address it. Like they
Yeah.
address it, but like I sort of agree with Eric that it's, or I don't know if Eric was sort of like kind of trying to push this point too hard, but
no,
like
it's just interesting. It's an interesting because the subtext I felt was definitely there.
well, I mean, I think what you were saying is sort of like whether or not it's there intentionally, you're bringing it to
It's
it,
there, yeah.
and that I guess for my part, I actually would say that I don't think they had any sort of like point they wanted to make about race and race in America and like
No,
race
not at all.
between.
Oh, no.
In fact, to your point, I think this script was probably agnostic of all that, and then the casting
Yeah.
just changed the dynamic. I think.
Yeah, because the thing that this film does really well is it kind of has this intergenerational element to it. And look, like I went to a small high school. Like my parents and I went to the same high school, and like there are people in town. There's like several generations of their family. Like I know what that kind of like feels like, and I think they nailed that really well. They didn't touch on the fact that like in the 80s, the experience of being black in this
Sure,
town
yeah.
would be different than the experiences in 2019. And that's
Maybe.
it was sort of like it's like you could say it's like a lost point. This movie has so much other shit going on
Yeah.
that it actually probably would have been nearly impossible to kind of shoehorn it in.
Sure. No, I agree. It was interesting because I noticed it and I wanted to bring it up.
No, I think you're right that it probably didn't have any of that in the casting. I think
Yeah.
it was probably, kind of polished to reflect the casting of it.
So how about that wiener?
Well, there you go.
So yeah.
So she
really-
she picks it up, right? Like very
Two
gently.
fingers.
Yep, just kind of like, and she's got the knife in the other hand, and
but there was a there was like a cradle.
I
With-
know. She like
she's kind of like, with everything that had happened in this movie previous to this point, I thought 1,000% she was gonna lop that dude's dong off. I thought there was
Oh, yeah.
no
Oh,
way
yeah.
she
well,
wasn't
I
going
thought
to.
she was. I mean, if she already picked it up, I thought she was gonna like stretch it out and
Yeah.
chop it off.
And I
was
literally,
like, oh, no.
I literally went.
I'm having a moment. Simmer down.
Well, I mean,
But it's like in the foreground of the shot too. It's like
Yeah.
it's taking up half of your television at some point.
The I loved it though because she's literally I mean, look, it's a well done scene for that exact reason, right? Like it's like teed up and kind of you're led to expect one thing, and instead she says to him something to the effect of like, you're a dog, so that's how I'm going to treat you or something like that. And
Yeah.
what she does is she gives him a bag of dog's blood that is like IV'd into his
That was
arm.
so weird.
That's by
Yeah.
far. I mean, the way
It
they set
was
that
so
scene up, that's
weird.
by far the most disturbing part of it. It's like, oh shit, she's giving him dog blood.
So
Well,
why?
and then
Here's my
she
question though.
She cuts his other.
Why give him
arm.
blood just to cut his wrist? Like I don't.
Well, because then now you've created a situation where the blood's actually going to flow in because blood's
Yeah.
flowing out on the other side.
It's like a vacuum effect, like when you're.
Yeah, but how do you
siphoning
give
gas.
somebody blood normally? You don't do that.
Well, because you only give people blood if they need blood. If you don't need the
Yeah.
blood, it's not going to like your blood
Usually they're
pressure.
low.
Is gonna
John,
prevent it
I was
from,
a
like,
communications major. Okay, I don't know how blood works. I'm sorry.
I don't know, but like to Casey's point, do you know how to siphon a siphon work? I don't know. I mean, look, I'm not a doctor. Someone else can correct me. I was though. There was like probably like a 1 minute moment where I'm like, God, would just having dog blood in your system kill you? It probably would,
Probably
right?
would.
Yeah,
dude, yeah.
it's
I
got to
would
make you
think
bad.
so.
It's got to be bad.
I'm sure we have vets.
It'd definitely be.
I'm sure we have
very
vets in our
sick.
listenership that could tell us if dog blood would kill you. Do you think?
It has to kill you.
Joe,
But
do you
let's
think?
be hon-
Please let us know.
Joe, you missed the penis talk.
I wouldn't say I missed it. Dixon,
God.
Dixon, 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 Dixon,
Eric,
But let's-
can you kick him off? Or is
Joe,
is
Joe, serious question. Do
Yeah.
you think someone putting an IV into you with dog's blood, that's all? Let's say that's all that happens. Do you think that
Right.
would kill you?
No, I don't think it would kill me.
Listen, the real question here is, if someone was about to chop off your penis, would
Huh?
you be flaccid or erect? That's the real question here.
It all depends on the scenario, like what's happening.
Who's doing it? Yeah.
Like is sexy stuff happening, and then somebody jumps in and say, "I'm gonna get your dick off." Then like flaccid or erect.
Joe, I have another question for you. How many beers have you had tonight?
I've had a few.
Oh my
Let's be honest
God.
here in this scene, though. Octavia Spencer works the front desk at a veterinarian's office, so she's gonna know how that dog blood IV works better than I do.
I haven't watched it, guys. Don't spoil it, okay? So whatever you're doing.
Okay.
Just
There's a whole scene full of dicks in there for you.
Yeah, it's great.
Has anybody made that Cameron Hey Ma song? Like, has anybody sung that yet?
No.
Amazingly, that hadn't happened. Joe,
It'll
did you
get-
watch the movie?
No, I didn't get around to it.
Oh my God, you gotta watch this movie.
I know it was Labor Day, but I was spending time with my family and doing things outside. It was weird. I know you guys hate your family.
Oh,
Is that why you
Jesus
weren't
Christ.
here tonight? Is that your excuse?
Yeah, we were doing stuff. It's Labor Day. What the fuck, guys?
No, you do stuff on Sunday and then you sleep it off on Monday.
Yeah.
Mm.
It also is pouring rain here all day.
I was driving like 4 hours, so sorry.
Sorry if I party hard, guys.
Oh my God.
We went to a thrift store this morning. That was fun. It's half off sale.
And our Slack channel's calling me white for loving Neil Diamond.
Thrift store is not a white thing, Joe.
Huh?
There's can we hit one other thing before we let Joe completely derail the rest of the show? Cece mentioned, I think it was an email, how sad, or maybe it was over text, how
Oh,
sad
yeah.
this movie is.
It's pretty bleak.
It's
It
fucking
is.
like here's the thing, and
Oh,
again,
yeah.
we like just to kind of like tie the knot on Octavia Spencer and the Sue Ann character. You feel really bad for her.
You
Like
do, I
she's
mean,
fucking-
Oh yeah.
it is. You have empathy, you have sympathy, you got all the
Yeah.
All the
pathos
iffies.
for her. It's yeah, it's really brutal. And then obviously like when she's like holding a flaccid man's penis and threatening to cut it off, like that goes out the window. But otherwise,
But
you know,
does
I
it?
mean,
for me,
Does
I
the
mean, I felt
flaccid
the
man's
most bad
penis go out
for
the
her.
window?
I felt the
it's-
most bad for her when like she went to dinner when Luke Evans asked her out and she showed up and then he went off on her. You're like, oh shit,
Mm.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that was it was a real.
Don't
low point.
spoil the movie, but how does a flaccid penis get in someone's hand? Like, when's the last time your flaccid penis has been in like even like your
Well,
wife's
see,
hand?
You gotta watch the movie, Joe. Sorry.
she's a veterinarian and she's got like vet medicine, so she's
Wait,
like,
what's that got to do with it?
well, listen,
Just let Joe
listen.
watch it.
She
I
has
don't think-
access to
yeah.
these drugs, and she does like a lot of like needles in the neck, and then people pass out, and then they wake up, and then he's tied to the bed, and then she sort of like cups
Flaccid
it.
penis.
And then it's flaccid.
You know what we did watch the long shot with Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron.
How do you have time for the long shot and you can't watch Ma? Yeah,
Well,
I tell you.
we were gonna watch it last night. We didn't get around to it, and then Saturday night was the long shot. It was delightful, even
It
for a
was.
It looked-
2-hour
it looked-
rom-com. Like I got angry when I saw the time, but
High
Charlize
five. I enjoyed
Theron,
it too.
yeah, Charlize Theron is a fucking treasure.
She can do
I'd
anything.
vote for her for president.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think she's foreign born, so she actually.
She's Australian, right?
No, she's
No,
South
she's South
African.
African.
Yeah, I
It's
was gonna say.
different, Joe.
What
think
is the
she's
difference?
Something.
Continents.
It's quite a large difference,
Hey,
actually.
Ma.
Joe.
You smoke,
Joe,
I
that's-
drink, and we gonna get it on tonight.
Joe, that's how they call it. That's how it happens in the movie. They're like partying, and one of the kids goes like, "Thanks, Ma," and she's like, "Oh,
Huh?
you're funny," and then like that's everybody calls her Ma.
And we gonna get it on tonight. Boobies real.
Okay, now that Joe's completely tanked the review, I guess we can wrap it up. Would you recommend this, Cece?
Yes.
Joe.
I'm gonna go no.
Okay. Casey,
It's worth a watch.
John.
Yes.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna say hell yeah. Of the three old people terrorize young people for no particular reason movies that came out this year, this one is by far the best.
Hold
Although-
on. She has a reason.
Okay, whatever. You know
the
what I
other
mean.
ones might not.
I will say I did like Dennis Quaid a lot too, but the movie around him was awful. This movie is actually good, so you should
Dude,
check this out.
This movie is proof that fucking Intruder movie is like
Oh yeah, yeah.
the
no.
most humongous pile of garbage that's ever been
was-
made.
Have you guys seen Dennis
Intruder.
Quaid's insurance commercials?
I don't.
Those are far more frightening.
I don't
than
know,
We
though, guys.
created those. The company I work for, I work with those creatives. We
Nice.
did that.
Guys, though, do you remember
You're
this?
welcome.
Do you remember the sex scenes in that movie though? They were so saucy.
What
Anyway.
sex movie?
And
Did you watch the Intruder?
Intruder.
Cece?
Oh, I didn't hear what movie you're talking.
do you remember there's
I
like
asked
if
twice
we-
what movie.
If we don't have a sound clip in the next week that just says, "CC, what sex movie?" Like asking like my dead aunt would have asked. What sex movie?
okay. Anyways, watch the movie. There you go. All right, guys, let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
From Stephen King, originator of Pet Cemetery. Michael McDowell, creator of Beetlejuice. And George Romero, director of Night of the Living Dead. Comes 4 tales of horror.
Don't make light of it.
Tales from the dark side. The movie, rated R. Starts Friday, May 4th at theaters everywhere.
Hi, this is Adrienne Barbeau, and you're listening to Bloody Good Horror.
Send your emails to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or hit us up on Twitter at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. And don't forget to pick up back episodes of the show at podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com.
And we are back. info@bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address, although no one's using it lately, Joe. That's okay, they
Fuck.
use- they-
No, I don't have tweets ready then.
What? All right, hold on. All right, really, while Joe's pulling up Twitter, two characters we didn't touch on that I wanted to just throw out and let everyone comment on. Stu. Does everyone remember Stu?
Is he
The-
the
the-
a-hole friend?
No, the mom's coworker.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
We really didn't even talk about Juliette Lewis, who I actually thought was really good.
She's pretty good, yeah. I like her.
As kind of like the sort of down and out mom, but like
She's a
they
cool
make it
mom.
Yeah, she's a cool mom, but not a bad mom.
Dude, I felt so much for her in that moment when she's runs into the people she went to high school with, and she's like the cocktail waitress at this casino, and they're just like the drunk chick's just like ripping on her. I was like, oh, this is brutal, dude.
Well, and then the drunk chick gets thrown out of the casino, so it works out. But Stu, though, just like when she calls Stu to be like, "Hey, come help me," it's like,
Yeah.
I like that he's there in the finale.
yeah, he is. No, well, so then the other one I had to ask about, Ashley. Her name's Ashley, the Christian girl.
Oh.
Yes, that was my favorite.
so weird. I don't.
Yeah,
we
that
did
was
not have
a
that girl at my high school.
that was a great
That was a
thread.
new stereotype for me.
That was a good thread.
And my wife was the preacher's daughter.
Yeah.
All like that.
There you go. I think I assume that the screenwriter they must have seen someone do that at some point. There's just that's like
Oh,
such
yeah.
a weird ass
It's
thing.
it's very specific. Yeah.
It's very specific.
Did you guys talk about The Gathering at the top of the show?
Oh yeah,
we
hit
hit on
The
it. We didn't
Juggalos.
talk about the 5K though.
Yeah. We're doing a 5K. October 20th, I want to say, the week of. I don't know. Let's not. We'll talk about it next week.
Okay.
But yeah, we're doing the BGH 5K again this year in late October. So
Virtual
you know,
5K.
do stuff with that. We're also on Twitter at BG Horror, and every week we monitor two beautiful hashtags. First one being BGH Classics. If you're listening to an old episode, something tickles your fancy, just get your digits on over to the tweets and diddle your way into sending it over. We only got one this week from our good friend Jake. That's at JHAR0. And this is a conversation between Eric and Mark. Eric says, if they catch you with your dick in a Gatorade bottle in the South, you're pretty much going away for life.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
Mark replies, it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Gatorade bottle.
That was after. So when we started the show, I was living in Florida and then moved back to New York and then out to Boston. But on my way driving back, we did 2 like 12, 13-hour days on the road, and so I had to do something, Joe. I can't just stop every hour. You know?
I think we've had a handful of peeing in bottle conversations on the show.
Yeah.
That was episode 324, ABCs of Death 2. We also
Great
used
sequel we were all demanding.
that wouldn't live without. The other hashtag we use is SBGH. That's every week. If you have a question about the movie we're watching or just life advice in general, you can send that one in. We got 2 from a first-time submitter. That's Phil Noble Jr., not a follower of ours, but I believe he's some sort of person.
Is it,
yes,
dude?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's the editor of the new Fangoria, isn't he?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
He has a couple of smart people questions, which I'm assuming you guys can answer. First one is, in the weeks leading up to its release, he's speaking of Mom here, folks seem to put a lot of weight on Ma to be, quote unquote, the next black horror film with something to say. Gleaning inverted mommy tropes from the trailer, when it wasn't, that fed the critical narrative a bit. Do you think it was fair to judge the film and Octavia, who took the brunt of such criticism, on that grade curve of responsibility politics? Isn't true partially the freedom to make a shitty B movie and not have to live under the weight of being, quote unquote, an important film? You guys got all that? I'm not reading that.
Yeah, I think you covered it well.
No, I got it. I'm very impressed you actually were able to read all that, Joe. Congratulations.
So am I.
No, we talked about it during the show, right, John? Like it's I didn't see any of that kind of backlash stuff. But especially, I mean, it's tough. Didn't this kind of come out sort of close to Us, right? Which is kind of like the ultimate of that in some ways. I think like the reason why I bring it up is because in 2019, I think when I see the subtext, I expect the text, if that makes sense, John. Like, or I'm like, I'm at least thinking about it at that point. I do think it's pretty unfair to judge a film based on the trailer, obviously. Like, you can't expect that not knowing really what it is you're walking into.
But I think we covered it well, and I don't know that the movie itself was set up to be that type of movie. There were elements, and it came from Octavia Spencer's character. I don't know that they set out to make that type of a black horror film. I think they did a really good job of making it a horror film.
Yeah. But to his point, right? Like it is just kind of like a fun B movie in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. The fact that you put Octavia Spencer in it is gonna do things like, you know, it's gonna like force people to like want to have that conversation in a way that maybe they, you know, I don't think that's really what they were trying to do. So, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. you can really look at this movie as Octavia Spencer wanting to do something different and be, completely wackadoo, and she pulled it off well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it is a bummer. I think if people skipped it because of that, then I think they're missing out on something fun.
And we'll get it on tonight. Next up from @VonWorms. That is Von Worms, his Christian name, I assume. Are there any horror tropes / horror elements you used to appreciate / a lot of slashes in this one / look for in horror films before that you now avoid or dislike? Alternatively, are there elements that used to turn you off that you now look forward to?
That is a smart people question.
I have one. When I was a younger horror fan, I was way into gore. Like, it didn't matter what it was. If it was there, I was excited about it. And I think this came out of, horror fans of a certain age, John, will remember the late 80s and 90s when the MPA was sort of just like running amok on movies. Like, you can see it happening to slashers in the late 80s. And then the 90s were just like so sanitized of all that stuff. So then when there was this way, so I think like as horror fans, like we were just kind of upset about this stuff being censored and wanting it to come back. And so when you had this wave in like 2003, 2004 of like House of a Thousand Corpses, Cabin Fever, like this stuff finally getting back into theaters, it was really exciting. And I definitely went on a binge there for like 5 or 6 years of just like loving stuff like that. Now I would much rather watch something like Ma, where it's just like a really well done, fun, psychological thriller kind. Like, I'm fine with it. I'm just saying, like, it used to be a big bullet point for me that now I honestly don't really care about. It can be there or it doesn't have to. You know what I mean? I'm much more interested in interesting new ideas.
Yeah, I don't know if my taste for the like really, I don't want to say like hard. It's not hardcore, but like the real kind of like gory, aggressive stuff is like I never. There were some of those movies that I never really cared for, but like, I don't know. You just get older. Like, it's part of it. Is like, you're kind of like, all right, don't need to experience this anymore. Is part of it. But I don't know. I think I could still hang if I had to.
I know you could, John. I know you could.
Thanks.
Next up from John's favorite listener, that's CO Old School, at CO_W Flanagan.
Have you read this previously, Joe?
Have I read this guy's before?
Have you read this particular tweet before you're about to read it right now?
No,
Okay.
Do you not want me to?
You don't have to. I'm just saying.
Sorry, CO. Next up from at Joe Bob Fanzine.
Wait a second. Fanzine?
Nah, let's. He's fine. He's doing.
What did I say? Did I say Fanzine?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
I'm with Joe.
Yeah. What's the Fanzine? Zine? Zine?
Zine. Joe.
It's definitely.
You were around in the 90s, right?
Sure.
Sure.
Can we move on now? Do you want me to?
Go ahead.
If you excuse me, before you interrupted, I was about to read an important question about farts. So, whose farts smell the worst? The best? Have no smell. What's your best fart story? Why are farts so funny to me? Follow-up question. Are questions about farts allowed?
Absolutely.
Farts
It's
are
a great
inherently,
tweet, and I'm not answering any of it.
farts are inherently funny, and here's why I truly know this now, is that like there's a certain age at which kids start laughing at farts unprompted. Because they're just funny. Like, that's pretty much like,
Yeah. No, who doesn't laugh?
I'll lay claim gladly to the worst, no problem. I didn't clog the fucking toilet at Horror Hound, but I will lay claim to the worst.
Mine come and go. Sometimes they're real bad, sometimes they're fine, but I've definitely cleared rooms before.
Are you sure you're not going to make it to the meetup, CC?
I mean, every day it just hurts more and more.
I mean, main cast house is going to be best house, easily.
Well, and wasn't I supposed to be in the main house this time instead of the murder house that I got,
Yeah,
sent
and
off to
if
last
you were in the
time.
main house, then you could listen to Joe singing Nickelback in the shower like nobody was listening.
Permitted as
Oh.
a wise man.
I'm pretty sure he knows everyone's listening.
Absolutely. All right. Last but not least, not many tonight from our good friend Andy. That is at HorrorFan4129. As it's spooky season, what traditions do you all have leading up to Halloween? Do you watch a horror movie every day up to Halloween? Also, do you have Halloween parties where you all dress up like in TV shows? Halloween specials?
No.
This year we're throwing our. I talked Kyle into letting me throw a Halloween party, and well, I told him yesterday that because now it's the first week of September that means I can decorate already.
Let's
Yeah.
just shut that down.
Yeah,
Joe-
we
Oh,
actually.
no, I didn't give him the
Joe,
option.
did you get
really.
that Evite? I didn't get that Evite.
Well,
Oh.
I'm. If you want to come to Atlanta, it will be on the weekend before Halloween, and my brother, who lives behind me, is also having a Halloween party. So it'll just be a block party of Halloween.
It's gonna be like a ma shindig. It sounds like. to
Yeah.
me.
Are you
Truck,
trying to
like
say
trucks just parked on the grass. You know, people throwing.
we
down.
live in the city? I don't under like you. There's no grass for anyone to park on.
I don't know. We just the wife and I watch horror movies every weekend. Usually, I sit down with the kid and watch Nightmare Before Christmas, where just a lot of movies. We don't really have parties. Sometimes we have the neighborhood kids over and do like pumpkin carving and stuff.
I do have pumpkin carving with my Kevin.
Yeah. I discovered this past weekend that the watermelons that I thought were growing in my garden are actually spooky pumpkins. So
Yes.
Nice.
pretty excited about that. Yeah.
There you go.
Halloween's a big time of the year at the Criswell household. So my wife just, declared this weekend at the beginning of September, like she always does, like Labor Day weekend, what the theme is. We're doing scary clowns this year.
Oh my
So we'll
God.
spend September and October. We'll spend September planning and finding the materials. Then in October, starting to set up the front yard to scare the neighbor kids. And then, we'll go all out on October. And it works out really well for me because our wedding anniversary is October 11th. And I usually get her something big Halloween decoration wise. And she's perfectly happy.
I try to watch Blair Witch Project and maybe some Halloweenies, John. I like Halloweeny 4. It's a good one.
I gotta figure something out. The problem with the kids is like, it's got to be something appropriate. My wife will not watch horror movies.
Yeah.
I almost what I need is a movie that I can like not trick her into watching, but like convince her that she's gonna be able to sleep at night, even if she can't.
So
What
yeah,
about like just like a Monster Squad or stuff like that?
on the rare,
Yeah, well,
on,
that she could handle that.
on the rare occasion that we watch something together, my wife needs like a buffer after. Like can't go
whoa.
right to bed. There's got to be some like The Office or something in between.
Dude, she needs a buffer after we've been watching The Americans, and she's like one episode of The Americans.
She's all worked up.
I don't
Pretty funny.
I'm like,
That's
all
not even a horror movie, John.
right. No, it's not. So,
It's real life horror.
there's some tension. There's some tension. Some of those husband and wife scenes, you're like, hey, this is rough.
Okay.
All right, that's it.
Awesome. Joe,
Yeah.
if someone wants to meet us in Chicago, where can they find that information?
Oh man, if you want to come hang out with us Friday night and get some free beers and food, just sign up to be a Patreon at any level. That's patreon.com/ is it Bloody Good Horror, John, or
Yep.
BG Horror?
Bloody good. Holy shit, Joe. You
Bloody
do this
good.
every week. Patreon.com/Bloody Good Horror.
And September 21st, Chicago, Illinois, Crown Liquors, 4 p.m. We're doing horror trivia. We're going to have giveaways, all kinds of spooky fun. We got our t-shirt on sale. We just had a really cool poster design that we're going to be printing up, all kinds of things. So hope to see you guys there. There's more info on our Facebook page and then at bloodygoodhorror.com. So it should be a good time.
Very exciting. Thank you for that, Joe. John, what do we got coming up this week?
We have It,
It.
Chapter 2.
Yeah.
Electric Boogaloo.
I'm actually slightly more excited for this one than I was the first one because the cast is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like such a great cast. I'm pretty pumped.
All I
so-
know is in that trailer is that Pennywise started to sound like Winnie the Pooh, and it's still fucking terrifying.
There's this really cool part. I can't remember if it was a trailer or something I saw, like a social media promotion thing for it, but like with this crazy soundtrack sound in the background that's just like it's like insane. I can't wait. Pretty excited. It's a great.
I'm hearing all sorts of buzz on Bill Hader in this movie, like
Yeah.
Oscar worthy buzz.
It's a great way to kick off. It's a great way to kick off the spooky season. So very excited.
Yeah.
All right, guys, it's gonna do it for Ma. We now have the great. What do we want to call? I don't really want to call these people old, John. I feel bad because like. But what do we?
It's generational warfare.
What do we call the trilogy? Like the great geriatric trilogy of 2019.
Yeah.
I mean, how old is Octavia Spencer?
Yeah, she's probably
that
not
much
as old
older
as
than-
Greta and/or Dennis Quaid, MAGA Dennis Quaid.
Yeah, I gotta think Octavia's my age, so.
Mock?
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
He wore a red
I
hat,
forgot-
John. Do you
yeah,
remember
I
that?
forgot about the hat.
Yeah,
No, you're right. I
Yeah,
forgot.
yeah. Speaking of movies with racial subtext that doesn't really speak to it.
Octavia Spencer, 47 years old.
Ah, okay. So literally, she's like not that much older than I am.
Nope.
No,
2 years.
she's 10 years older than I am.
Well, two older than me, so.
Yeah. Well, maybe you could make your own movie like this, Casey.
There you go. Next.
Well, I got it. If they don't get off my lawn, I'm about it.
All right, guys, that's gonna do it. Hope you enjoyed the show. Next week, Volume 2. We'll talk to you then.
See you.
Man,
Bye.
that-
Bye-bye.